morning. My name is Madeleine Wolske. I am the business librarian here at the Champaign Public Library. Thank you for joining me for Find Your Competition. So a couple of things before we get started today. Let's see if there we go, it'll switch. All right, so a little bit of library information. If you have any questions, we are here to help you. So I do these one-on-one book a librarian appointments. We tend to go more in depth, essentially just any business entrepreneurial question that you do have. Although if you have a separate question, we're happy to help you out. So in order to schedule one of those, you just need to go to champaign.org/book-a-librarian. It's worth noting that we are open to the public, and starting on March 29th, we are expanding our hours and services. For more information, go to champaign.org. If maybe you're interested in a book and a librarian, but you're not sure if your question really constitutes such a large query, feel free to email us at librarian@champaign.org. Or you can also chat with us during our open hours if you just go to our website and then find Talk to a Librarian. It's just nice, real time, a little bit casual, and it's easy to do on your mobile device. All right, so a little bit of Zoom information. We're all pretty familiarized with this, but just to go ahead again. So if you have any audio issues, if you're not able to hear me very well, feel free to send me a message. So in the bottom middle of your screen, you'll see that chat bar, or you can even use the Q&A. Make sure you're sending the message to all panelists if you want it to be private, so sent just to me. If you want it to be public, send it to all panelists and attendees. So if you're having any tech issues, just send me a message. If you have any questions, send me a message. I mean, the benefit of coming to these webinars is to kind of get that interactive experience. So feel free to just go ahead and type it on in, or even if you just want to share a comment, I encourage you to go forth and share. All right, so last thing, again, audio things, if a quick troubleshooting is just simply click on that microphone. So it is the left-hand side, and you can kind of select audio settings if it's not working out. But again, shoot a message if you're having any issues. All right, let's go on ahead. So today, we're first going to be going over what exactly is competitive analysis, why is it beneficial to do this, when do you need to do it. Then we're going to be highlighting two of our amazing library databases, Reference Solutions and Mergent Intellect. Then we're going to dive deeper into how we create a reference question relative to competitive analysis. So how do we narrow down what exactly we need? So making the work a lot easier and making it more fun because it takes less time. And then lastly, we're going to go over how to analyze current company performance. All right, so let's go to what exactly is competitive analysis? So it's essentially the evaluation of your competitors by placing them in strategic groups according to how directly they compete for a share of your customer's dollar. So for each competitor or strategic group that you have, you're essentially listing out all of their products and services, identifying their strengths and weaknesses, and that might include profitability, growth patterns, marketing objectives and assumptions, cost structure, and size and sales. And it essentially helps you answer questions like, the most basic, who is your competitor, your biggest competitor? Who are your competitors? What products or service do they sell? How exactly are they marketing to your target audience? Do you share a target audience? What potential threats does your competitors host for you, or any opportunities? It also allows you to kind of help understand the market that you're in, be it locally or virtually. And it also allows you to essentially cater your marketing campaign and build your business plan out a little bit more, especially if you're wanting to get specific funding. It's really important to include the competitive analysis to show how you're going to compete with them to put you ahead above the rest. So I did also include direct and indirect. So direct competitors are essentially, here's an example. So Pizza Hut and Monocle's, these are both pizza companies that they sell the same thing. They have the same audience. They have a similar market. Their business size is similar. Their products, you could argue, are of similar value. An indirect example, if Pizza Hut is our business, would be McDonald's. So McDonald's doesn't necessarily sell pizza, but it's identifying the customer's needs in a different way. So it's someone who's hungry, wants something relatively fast, accessible, and affordable. So that's McDonald's is indirectly serving Pizza Hut's customers. All right, do we have any questions on what exactly competitive analysis is? It's pretty straightforward. All right, so how exactly do we start off with our research for finding our competitors? So the best place I find is understanding what exactly your industry code is. So there's two types of classification systems. We have the North American Industry Classification System, so NAICS, or the Standard Industrial Classification System, so the SICS, or SIC. So feel free. I wonder, those who are here, do you know what your industry code is? And if you do, would you want to share it? And again, it can be private or public. So here's a little bit of history. So SIC and NAICS codes are two closely related business classification systems used by both the private and public sector. So SIC codes are less standardized because NAICS took over in about 1997 because it's North American industry. So this was a collaborative effort made by the US, Canada, and Mexico to allow for better comparisons between the three countries, making global trading a lot more easier. I will say that the NAICS codes, it is more in depth, although a lot of people prefer SIC just to start off with because it's a little bit more generalized and allows you kind of that starting place to see where you're at. So I'm just going to go ahead and click in here. While that loads, I'll click on the other one too. All right, so here is where you find the SIC manual, and this is on OSHA, Department of Labor. It's really nice because, again, SIC, it's very generalized. So, for example, if I'm in the restaurant business, I can just look at these greater divisions, manufacturing, retail, trade, and go down to services and find exactly what I want. And again, if you click on one of these major groups, so let's just go ahead and click on museums, art galleries. It's a generalized group that slowly breaks itself down even further. It also includes a brief description for that. And it also kind of highlights maybe these are other keywords that you might want to include if your business or service is similar to this. So moving on to the NAICS manual. It's you know, just shy of 1,000 pages, completely accessible, really easy to understand. A little bit more complicated than SICS. I will say that it's only so long because excuse me, it has a lot of different variations of the manual within the manual. So it might be organized first by numerical sectors, and then it's organized by alphabetical industry. So let's do restaurants again. Those are 722, I believe. So, let's go to the 722. So accommodation and food services. So 722s, you can kind of see just these breakdowns. And I will say, these are still the general, really larger classifications for NAICS codes. So this 7225, it actually expands to 10 digits. Like it's really specific. So let's scroll down a little bit more. But yeah, again, it's really helpful because by understanding what exactly you're selling, what industry you belong in, you're able to use these keywords to find competitors that are closely aligned with what you're doing. Okay. Do we have any questions about industry codes or how to find them, what to determine where exactly you're at? I don't think so. All right. Let's go on ahead to library resources. I didn't need to open up the PowerPoint again. I just wanted to show you this cute graphic it looks like. So I am going to champaign.org. And normally I take you through the business site, but let's do something else just so you can find exactly where to reach this. And so both of our databases, assuming you are at home watching this, you will need a Champaign Public Library card to utilize them. If you do not have one, it's easy and you're uncomfortable leaving your home. It's easy to sign up for your own electronic card online. If you need help, send us a message. Or if you don't live within the city of Champaign, send me a message and I can help kind of get you the resources that you need. So to access, let's do reference solution. So I'm going to the e-library and I'm going to click on online tools. And these are the entirety of online tools that we provide at Champaign Public Library. So that includes like children's resources, movies, basic reference, career tech, the whole kit and caboodle. It's great because it's organized alphabetically. So I'm just going down to R, reference solutions. And clicking on that has its own page. Make sure you click on this use reference solutions. So Reference Solutions is a database containing over 58 million business records. It's updated weekly and it really helps identify areas of economic development, and it's a hyper-local tool. So I really recommend this resource for people who maybe they are just a small business. They want to open up their own store. They maybe aren't yet in those $1 million figures. They're not competing with, like we said, Pizza Hut earlier. They're not competing with Pizza Hut or Domino's at this time. They're currently just competing against other local Pizza Huts, not Pizza Huts, pizza shops. I really love this tool because it also allows you to find trends within locations to see where trending businesses are currently opening up. So here is the reference solutions database. So we're first going to start off just with the US businesses, and then we'll eventually move over into the US new businesses. So go ahead and click on US business. And this is just kind of the basic search at the moment. And this is helpful if you know exactly which company you want to find, but we don't know that yet. We're still trying to find our competitors. So we're going to go over to the advanced search. So go ahead and click on that second tab and it's going to load for a little bit. All right, so this is the basic search page. Once you've mastered this, you have mastered reference solutions as a whole, because this is how all of their just search pages are laid out. It's incredibly customizable. So let's look at this left hand right here. So these are all the different basically choices you can make to narrow down that basic search. And it's looking through, let's see, 15 million records, almost 16 million records. So that's a little bit too much for us to go through. So the best two starts, or the things that you should start off with, are the industry code again, and then searching by geography. So let's just go ahead and go to business type. So this is where we can choose to do keyword or major industry group. So I'm just going to click on keyword and see what pops up. So this is what comes up. Once you want to input something, unlike our other databases, you don't have to click anything to save or follow through. So earlier I had mentioned restaurants. Let's maybe go, I'm just going to type in restaurants. It's also worth noting that so this is the all US businesses, includes both the SIC and NAICS keywords. So once I type that in, let's spell it correctly. Restaurants. I need my A. We can do that 8 a.m. misspelling. All right, so you can see that it includes, again, both the SIC and the NAICS code in here because that 58, and then you also see these like 700. So 700s are NAICS, 58 is 6. So let's just click that restaurant's right there. Notice that once I click it again, it will take it out. The great thing you can also do is include a large amount of, well, not a large amount. You can see all of these boxes at the very bottom. I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen, but these boxes here kind of show you, so that's like the amount that you can kind of input in. When we're scrolling down, this is another way to kind of see the diversity and the intricacy that essentially NAICS and SIC codes get to. Very specific. So German restaurants, Chinese restaurants, Vietnamese bakeries, very specific. If I just want to do primary NAICS codes, I like how also it automatically propagates that. Restaurant. Again, it's still pretty general. So I might actually just put in 722. And wait for that to work. And again, so you noticed once I clicked on this, this will only show 8-digit codes, show 2 to 6-digit codes. So it's a great way to just kind of explore, see what industries you can just kind of find. Oop. While that's loading, I will go ahead and describe kind of other things that you can, oh, it's right here. That's perfect. All right, let's do, oop, that's not as general as I wanted it to be. I think I probably clicked too many times because we'll just put in restaurants. We'll leave it like that. Okay, next we're going over to geography. So we still have, you'll notice that since we're only searching by restaurants, that still searches the entirety of the US business database. So if you look over at the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see these view results and update count. If I click update count, we now have limited that 15 million to simply 500,000. So that's still too high. I want to narrow it down to my specific region. So let's just go ahead and do city state. I will let you know that you can search a geography in a variety of different ways. So it's a map-based search where you can open up a map and you can essentially click on geography areas. City state, we're going to be doing that where you just put in the city name. Metro area, that's for bigger cities. It's very helpful if you're wanting to maybe research places in Chicago. Zip codes is also really nice because then you can include multiple zip codes at a time to kind of compare and see over a certain area. I know for Champaign, we're kind of in this conglomerate of Champaign, Urbana, Mahomet, maybe Tolono or Savoy. So you could include all of those zip codes. I really like the radius tool. It's really fun. So you're able to essentially put in just like an address and then toggle by clicking and dragging a radius around that specific point. It can go out from 0.1 to 150 miles around that specific point. You can search by county, street address, or neighborhood. Again, that's pretty specific to cities, but let's just do Champaign. So plugging in Champaign, just clicking go. We're lucky that it's such a original name. We don't really have to put anything else in there. Okay, so I have these two fields right now. I'm going to update my count again. Okay, 206. That is approachable. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on results and see what happens. Okay, so this is essentially what we have. This is the results that propagate once you fill out your search dimensions. So it does organize everything alphabetically. But some of them do have executive names. Most of them have the street address, city, state, zip code, phone. You'll notice these corporation trees. These are when it's essentially just like a corporation. So if it's not mom and pop versus, again, you can see Applebee's. And it's fun if you click open that, you can see all of the branches of the specific one. So I'm clicking back. All right, time for a little coffee. So it's interesting because you think that in Champaign we would have more than 206 businesses, right? I think so. So I'm going to click on that revise search, and it's really important to note that you're not going to be clicking on those back buttons. You are essentially just clicking on that revise search. So within the tools here. So I'm going to click on revise search, and the record type right here is something important to look at. So verified businesses. These are businesses that Reference Solutions have called and verified. Yes, you're here. Yes, you're open. This is the information that we have and it's correct. Unverified businesses, since we live in a not metro area, I encourage you to check this off. It essentially has a more thorough search. You'll notice that the record count jumped to 520. So essentially unverified businesses, they might be the smaller businesses that Reference USA just, or Solutions, excuse me, they just haven't been able to verify yet. So I would actually encourage you to go ahead and click that. The last one is closed or out of business records. We're not interested in those today just because we want to see what our competitors would be within the restaurant field. So we can always view results again. And you can see, I mean, that almost tripled the results that we had. So do we have any questions about finding these specific places? So while you guys think about that, it's interesting, Art Theater Incorporated. Let's go ahead and click on Aloha Poke. Poke. So here is the industry profile or the company profile. It includes the location info, so exactly where it's located. It is an unverified record, but it's a smaller business. I'm sure we can probably verify it on Google or just finding maybe a social media account for them. If it's a larger corporation, it'll probably include large job listings here. And this is a part that I think is really important, especially if maybe you are doing a poke restaurant. These codes aren't as in-depth as some of them go, so I might find another one. But this just kind of lends inspiration or gives you a basis. It's like, okay, so maybe if I want to open up a poke restaurant or a sushi place, I should also include this NAICS code in my search just to find, again, more relevant competitors and relevant businesses. Basic business demographics is right below it. Management directory, company news. Again, we're not going to see these for a lot of these smaller businesses because this information is taken from like IRA tax records, IRS tax records, excuse me. Business history, I'm actually going to see if I can find a bigger one. So let's go to just the Arby's. So I wonder if it has, so here we go. This has a little bit, well, it has quite a bit more filled out. So basic expenditures. I will also note that this is another really useful section if you're filling out a business plan, if you're not really sure how much to estimate that you'll need. If you also want to open up an Arby's franchise, you could take this information and essentially just input it in to yours as like a good estimation. Okay, so the two coolest parts of this industry record, in my opinion, are the competitors report and nearby businesses. So I'm going to click on competitors report. This is generated, essentially it's businesses within Champaign. So there's three factors that they pull up in order to create this list. So it's business size, market, industry, geography. So Arby's biggest competitors within Champaign, or the most similar competitors according to this database, are listed right here. So this is a great way for you to kind of see like, okay, well, if Arby's is going to be my competition, we can realistically assume that all of these other places will also be my competition. So if we are maybe looking to see, well, maybe is Arby's located in like a hotspot of restaurants? Is this like a pretty trendy area for restaurateurs to go to? You can look at nearby businesses. And we can see, okay, so here are the nearby businesses. So you'll notice that this isn't confined by industry. This is just saying what is exactly there. So we have the bus charter, florists, and some restaurants and student housing. So pretty cool amount of information. All right, I'm going to go back to the top, go back. So some other things, let's actually, I'm going to click on the Indian restaurant and see if we can look at the NAICS codes, if it went a little bit more specific. Oop, where'd she go? Nope, still not. That's perfectly fine. It's always good just to check. I think that's the best thing about reference solutions is how customizable it is. So you can get I encourage you not to just do one search. Do different searches. Get a little creative with your research because more than likely you are going to find different results several times. So it's great to do several different searches and then pull all the relevant material that applies to your query. So I'm going to show you this save search. I really recommend utilizing it. You essentially are just going to create an account with your email and a password. It's very easy. You will still have to use your library card when you log back in. If you want to download any of this information, you from your home, you're able to download 50 records at a time. So if we have 520 results, you'll simply just do records 1 through 50, 51 through 100 and 1, and then you'll keep on going like that. When you are downloading, you can choose just essentially different things to include. So different file types. I'll look at so the level of detail right here. You have 3 options, which then turns into infinite. So just the summary, it includes maybe 17 additional data fields. Detailed includes all of the data that they have per business. And then custom, it's probably my favorite one to include because then you get to customize and put in exactly what records you would like. So maybe I want to include the NAICS, primary NAICS description, and maybe all the NAICS 10s too, to get some really in-depth codes. Again, these you can do sales volume. There are a ton of fields that you can choose. So make sure you just look through them and identify what exactly you want to find. And then you could just download the records or email them to yourself. Okay, so another thing with reference solutions that I think is fascinating is the heat map. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So this is great for people who are interested in a brick and mortar business. Probably not the best for those interested in just purely e-commerce, but it allows you to see just visual representation of these businesses. So so you can kind of see, so these are 520 restaurants. We can see where the hottest places for restaurants are. So I'm going to, scroll down and zoom in. So these actually pull up each of the individual businesses. Let's let it load. So we can see this was kind of the hotspot campus town. That makes complete sense. You can also just go ahead and click. And so let's just click the one. So Espresso Royale, you're able to click and open up that industry profile or that business profile, excuse me, from this map here. It makes it really nice. If I scroll down, actually I'm going to scroll out a little bit more just so we can get some more zip codes. So I think this is really awesome. The top 50 tally results by zip code. So essentially reference solutions, they're pulling out the most popular places, the most popular zip codes that have restaurants. So we can see in 61820, 353 restaurants. So if I were to want to open up a restaurant in like the trendiest area, I'd probably stick to this zip code right here. 61824, not hot. But yeah, so this is just a great way to see just a visual representation of where these places are. So this is kind of, earlier I'd mentioned that reference solutions is great for kind of seeing where trends are going. So this is the tool that would help you see where places are opening up, where businesses are opening up. And on that note, let us go to the new businesses. So we're going from US to US new. So I'm going ahead and click on this. So this is, again, you'll see the same layout that you have from the regular US business database, but the difference here is that you'll see you can only search by SIC. There is no NAICS, and it has a lot of just essentially less search parameters and fields that you can utilize because it's only new businesses. So I believe the past 2 years. So they do not have the amount of information that they've mined on those older businesses. So you don't have as much data to sift through. So let's go ahead. And again, if I want to see what's trending, so I want to see, maybe just leaving restaurants away, let's look at Champaign County and see what businesses have opened up within the past year. So pretty good. It's going to be interesting because of COVID. So county, select a state. I'm going to do Illinois and Champaign. There she is. All right. And let's do, date ranges. So if I want to, again, just find it maybe within the last year. Update count, see how many, 181. Maybe I want to do like the last 6 months. Ooh, quite a bit still. Last month, 21. Let's see what has opened within Champaign County within the last month. So this is just really interesting, and you will see a lot of not availables because, again, as a new business, that information isn't going to be there. Let's actually go back so I can show you. There also isn't that, let's do business type. Okay, no. I just need to double check. You won't see that verified, unverified here because, again, new business, not realistic for them to call everyone in every single place in the US. So let's look at a heat map so we can see where all of the new businesses lie. So again, we can see 61822, 6 new businesses. Go ahead and click on that and it shows that kind of concentrated area. So we're not, so this is Midtown, not Campus Town. Pretty interesting. All right, so does anyone have any questions about reference solutions, how they can utilize it? I'd say for those with who are doing e-commerce, reference solutions is helpful for that NAICS code. If you don't have a physical location, if you're not interested in selling your service from a physical location, just do it to look at companies that are similar to yours, find their NAICS codes, and then just learn a little bit about their company, getting that information. So, but we're not there yet. So I just wanted to include that pretty quickly. All right, so next up, I'm going to clean up some of my tabs here. We have Mergent Intellect. So I'm going to show you how to get there a different way. By clicking on Business and Career, I'm scrolling down to Business Services, and then I'm scrolling down to Mergent Intellect. So Mergent Intellect is really great for larger corporations. They don't have as many mom and pops places that Reference Solutions does have. Again, Reference Solutions is pretty hyper local. Mergent Intellect is good for larger corporations. So it's, again, a collection of databases similar to Reference Solutions. They have a really nice layout. I really like using this specifically for demographics, consumer data, and even just residential search. Use this as like a white pages. All right, so we are going to start with advanced search again. And you can see that it's obviously it's a different database. You're going to want to do similar things as far as prioritizing the type of industry and the location. Those are like your top 2 places to start. The main difference here between Mergent Intellect and Reference Solutions are the keywords. They have a lot more keywords within Mergent Intellect. So, and also much more executive criteria. So let's go see if I can find, I'm going to go look for let's search location. We're going to do Champaign. And the difference another difference, you need to click add to criteria after you input anything into a field. So then underneath this blue line here, it'll plug it in at the bottom. So this is the search fields that you're utilizing. And so it automatically populates okay, 10,000 companies found. Let's narrow this down a little bit more. What if I want it maybe to be a home-based business? Again, it's just criteria. You get to completely customize what you would like to include. And again, it's still loading. Just gonna go ahead and click on the next one because I'm, if anything, impatient. I really like the way they've laid out the industry codes. For Mergent Intellect, it's very clear. You're also, again, able to kind of explore where you'll be in these industry codes. So if I click on these arrows here, it will expand the industry codes. So for SICK, again, if I'm looking at restaurants, eating and drinking places, and then I'm able to click on if I want to do just a narrower code, so beyond just that single SICK digit, I can keep on going. So, okay, if I want to do pizza, 46 companies found that are pizza places. If I want to narrow that even more, I want to look at specifically just pizza chains. So 19 companies found. That sounds good. And this is great again for larger corporations. You can kind of understand the size. If you want to choose by how large the company is via employees, what their annual sales growth is, the physical size of their company. You can also do financial information. And then also include keywords. But since we only have 19 records, I'm just going to go click search so we can look at it. Again, a beautiful little graph. And it's great because it also basically categorizes it by the sales that they have. So let's go ahead and click on a branch. I want to click on a branch, yeah. So Badgeco East. Papa John's, of course, Badgeco. So this is a chain, and this is the information that this company profile kind of provides. So this is just your basic company overview where it shows like a branch. It has some kind of information about Papa John's, if it's private or public. I will say that Mergent Intellect has more information again on public companies because those are larger. You can go look into like the small details, financial details, company details, the industry itself, executive details too. So you can see who's been, okay, the general manager, principal manager. Click to see everyone in the family tree. We can see the president of this corporation. So again, it's a lot more, I want to say almost intimate information about the company itself. And it's really great. You can look into the family tree. So again, if you're maybe wanting to open up a chain, you can kind of see where all these other places are and what their average sales are. So pretty cool info here. So let's go. If you want to save any of this information from Mergent Intellect that you find, you can print it out. You can download the data. Let's go back to our results. I believe with this, we can just click back. Let's do one more. Ooh, I click a lot. Okay, so back to my results. If you want to save these results, again, you can definitely create a report. With Mergent Intellect, I believe the maximum is 200 of files that you can essentially download at one time. So similar with reference solutions, you would just go 1 through 200 and so on and so forth. Great. Do you have any questions about Mergent Intellect? I always encourage people to start. Here, let me say present. I encourage people, especially if they are small business owners, start at with reference solutions. Again, it's more accurate when it comes to using industry codes. There's more businesses listed because they have that hyperlocal capability. Make sure that you click the unverified though. And I also think it's kind of easier to navigate. It's not as flashy as Mergent Intellect, but she gets the job done. Mergent Intellect is for you if you want to compare yourself against other medium to large companies. It is more accurate in a sense because a lot of these companies self-report their earnings for a better D&B credit rating. And again, there's more search criteria. I believe also in Mergent Intellect, you're able to select like if you specifically want a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business. Unfortunately, again, it might not apply to our specific geographic region because it doesn't have that hyperlocal info. But for larger corporations, if maybe you want to partner with a woman-owned corporation within a specific field, you can find that information on Mergent Intellect. Okay, I think my chat bar fell away, so let me pull it back up again. All right, so now that we know how to use these tools, where do we start? So we're essentially going to start by creating these lists of potential competitors by refining what we look for. So essentially we start off with defining the scope of our search geographically. So we need to decide if our competitors are local or more spread out. Factors for this include things like if your industry is brick and mortar or online, or if your business depends heavily on foot traffic, like a pizza restaurant or a shop. If you perform services remotely, like a consultant or a marketing professional, or if you travel to clients like a personal trainer or massage therapist. Another factor would be if you have a more unique idea where people are more willing to travel to your business, like a top restaurant, boutique fitness place. So a lot of factors to consider when you're first starting with that geographic factor. The next one is identifying who is your target audience. So for example, consider a health food store that's targeting customers with an interest in organic foods, specifically between the ages of 25 and 44. You could be competing directly with them if you also want to open up a health food store, or you could be like, you know what, my target people are maybe age range 45 to 64 with an interest. So identifying that's your direct competition, but by understanding your target audience, you're able to cater to them and also fill up a different gap in the market that younger health food store isn't reaching. So lastly is the industry and market factor. So some industries are more competitive, like restaurants, while something like a specific boutique eyewear shop is less competitive because it's less saturated. It's also important to consider how many people with the restaurant world like eat out versus how many people buy boutique eyewear. So your target audience is smaller. Consider businesses that's similar to your size. So can your small cafe compete with Starbucks or other large cafes? And consider how it can compete based off of locations, products, and services within your industry. So in order to define or to narrow by using the factors to like narrow down our research, we are going to use SMART methods. So I'm going to do a new screen share. And this is basically the process of doing some market research. So determining our research goals, defining our key questions and search terms, dependent on those specific factors we just identified, creating a research plan, doing the research, and then incorporating the research into deliverables. This seems kind of like an unnecessary step, but I promise you it will save you a lot of time and energy. So the first step is determine your goals. So we're asking ourselves, why are we doing this research to identify competitors? What is the decision you want to make? What is your deliverable? Make sure you are asking what you need to know. We like to use an MVP approach, so it's like the minimum viable product. So identifying what's the least I need to know, because you don't want to be in a research, essentially tornado, where everything is kind of applying, but not really. And so in order to narrow down those research goals, again, use the SMART template. So you're able to find this on a couple of other a lot of different websites, but making sure your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So click on the next one. So defining your key questions. So this is my usual process. So when you're developing your product or service, you should be starting with your customers. And the same reason goes for your competitors. Understanding who your customers are and what they're going to want out of your business. After you determine that, then you can see, well, which competitors are delivering that to their customers. If you are acquiring a company, this is going to be a little bit different, but still make sure that you can understand exactly what you're looking for. These are strong questions. All right, so here's some sample questions. We're just going to focus on this middle factor. These are the 3 different components of market research. So here are great questions like, who's selling the same product as I am? Who's delivering similar value to the same customer segments? What are the alternatives to my product? So again, examples, but great ones. So this is from my previous colleague, Stephanie. She created this amazing slide and I had to share. So research creep. I had mentioned the tornado of research that comes. So this starts happening when we think we need to know everything. So make sure that your research is not wasteful. So for example, what are the buying habits of pet lizard owners? So you might be able to find it, but it's likely behind a paywall. It's easier to find information on the buying habits of pet owners in general. Make sure it's not impossible. How many teenagers in Chicago own skateboards? No one anywhere has this information. So ask yourself, why are you asking that question? What do you want to know? Then find a different question to get the same answer. Make sure it's not irrelevant. So what are the current trends in this restaurant franchises? If I'm writing a business plan for my first restaurant, I just want to include, maybe I want to include my goal of becoming a franchise in my business plan. But if I'm just starting off my first restaurant, that's not necessary to include in there. And lastly, unnecessary. So if you, like, for example, I need to find the mission, goal, vision statement for every nonprofit focused on solving food insecurity located in the Midwest. Why? If your objective is to craft a strong mission statement, you made me want to look at only a handful of other examples from organizations you think are strong, regardless of where they're located. So even ask yourself, do I even really need to look at others at all? So do you all have questions about not only the creepy researcher, but essentially how to narrow down those search queries to understand what fields to click and use within the databases? All right. So another thing, where else do I look? Trade associations. So for example, if you are a farmer and maybe want to look into more organic parts, you can look at the organic Illinois Organic Growers Association. If you're wanting to have a restaurant, Sources Farm to Table, that would be a great place to start. Also, maybe the Home Builders Association of Illinois for residential development and construction. So looking at blogs, websites related to your industry. I mean, the best thing you can do is take a magnifying glass and go look at that other business. So it's checking out their social media, seeing who follows them, how do people interact with their page, seeing maybe because of how people are interacting with their page, maybe I should post a few of the similar things. It's comparing yourself to that specific business, utilizing, again, information that they themselves provide. You can also look into Google Trends and search keywords. There's a lot of essentially spy sites that can see if people are paying for specific keywords. So whenever I type in restaurants on Google and Champaign, their restaurant comes up a little bit higher. How can you do something similar to that? By searching Google Trends and keywords similar and incorporating those keywords into your website. So kind of similar how we research NAICS codes or industry codes, you can incorporate that. By reading reviews on Google or Yelp, it's a great place to kind of also see what also do they recommend. I know Yelp, if you click on like a specific Mexican restaurant, it will recommend other similar restaurants in the area. And you can also see, again, people's reviews. Lastly, visit in person. It's a little bit hard with COVID, but Illinois, we're doing a great job and things are slowly opening up. And you know what? You can just become, I think it's like a secret shopper, essentially, just to get some more investigate and get some information off of your competitor. All right, so now we're on to the analyzing your competition. So consider the industry and market share. And so once you have this huge list of competitors, you need to then see what's most like your business. So it's recommended to have 3 to 10 competitors who are most like you. So now that we have those, we want to create a profile for them in detail that will appear on our final competitive analysis and business plan. So let's go to, a SWOT analysis. This is essentially what you want to fill out for your competitors. And again, the 3 to 7, trying to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, what opportunities for growth do they have, what current threats do they have. So pulling out those keywords within each of your competitors by filling out that SWOT analysis. And once you have that SWOT analysis and those specific keywords, you're then going to compare all of your competitors, pull those keywords out, and put them on a competitive analysis worksheet. And there's 2 different kinds. This is one that is from Canva. It's the program I'm using right now. Where I design my presentations, and where these higher criterias are. That's where you put those keywords that you've identified within the SWOT analysis. So if someone has high customer service, that could be one, and your brand specifically sets yourself above the rest. Could also be, do they have high sales? What social media are they using? Just the factors are completely customizable and individual too, depending on your specific search. Another competitive analysis that I like using, and I will forward this. It's essentially just a Google Sheet to everyone who takes the class and have signed up. This already kind of identifies the categories for you, so you just plug and fill it in with your company and then these competing companies. So once you've filled out this sheet and you have crossed out like, okay, where am I number 1 in? And once you have filled out all these other corporations or companies, you're going to see which one is the most similar to yours. And that right there is your direct competitor. So that they're essentially who you're going to focus on the most. It is really worth noting that this is not a one and done thing. Businesses come and go, and also you want to make sure that you're on your toes and growing better consistently. So I would recommend that you create new customer profile, or not customer profiles, excuse me, competitive analyses, maybe every year or so, maybe even a little bit, yeah, faster than that. It's completely up to you. but I would definitely recommend it do faster than not. All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. I had a great time, a great morning. Let me know if you have any questions about creating your own competitive analysis. Again, I want to emphasize that this is kind of just an overview. This is how to use our tools in order to create your own competitive analysis. If you have more questions or want some help going more in depth, I encourage you to contact us. Again, book that one-on-one appointment with myself or any of my amazing colleagues. We can go more in depth within your business and more in depth in your questions. If maybe you want some help doing your first competitive analysis, write essentially just a query, and we're happy to fulfill it and help you out as much as possible. All right, so looks like we don't have any questions, but I just want to, again, thank you all for coming. Our next business program is going to be next Monday, so the first Monday in April. It's going to be with Laura Weisskopf-Bleal. She is the co-founder of Chambana Moms, a very popular community blog in Champaign-Urbana, and she's going to be talking about creating community. This is going to be an awesome event and webinar, just because I know right now it's really hard to connect with a lot of customers online. Things are opening up slowly, but it's still good to kind of, how do I maintain connection with my audience? How do I continue to get them excited about what I'm offering, continue to interact with what I'm offering? So I highly encourage you to come and take advantage of this awesome webinar happening next in 2 Mondays, the first Monday of April at 7 p.m. All right. Well, again, I am Madeleine Wolske. Thank you so much for waking up a little early on this rainy day to join me and learn about some of our amazing library resources. So let's connect. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at mwolske@champaign.org, or just give us a call, and have a wonderful morning. Thank you.